All right, good evening, afternoon, I guess, not officially evening. Welcome to today's Finance Committee meeting. Look like we have any public comment, but I will officially make the ask. All righty, thank you. Well, we'll just go ahead and get into our action items. Obviously, our purchases and donation and something about the summer property tax resolution. Go ahead.
Will. Good afternoon, Mr. Ross and committee members. And as Mr. Ross just mentioned, 3 action items. The first being our purchasing agenda for the month, or for the next meeting, if you will. Really nothing out of the ordinary in there. Just one small bond project on the second page there. And when Mr. Ross and I met, he asked about commissioning. That you may not know what that means. So Mr. Clomperens is going to enlighten us on what commissioning means.
So in this case, we're proposing to hire a commissioning agent, which we've done on other projects. And the commissioning agent's role is to look at all the systems, starting with the heating and ventilating systems, but also controls, lighting, to make sure that everything is running as efficiently as possible. We can spec that everything is supposed to talk to each other. Commissioning agent's role is to make sure that it actually does and functions as one comprehensive system. And also the commissioning agents are required as we apply for LEED. We're still not sure if we'll make LEED on the Union project, but it is a requirement for the application.
Question on the purchasing agenda.
Yes.
Again, I see the contract for radio and television advertisements going to Jody Tompkins. It does not, provide a lot of support, but last year and in continuing years past, I guess, since it first came up, I raised a question about our competitive bid process. We have $127,300 here. And did we receive, or did we bid this out? I mean, there are many agencies that are local that have some diversity behind them, public relations agencies, advertising agencies, and I really think that we ought to be looking at a kind of a Grand Rapids first process in it. I think we ought to at least be accepting, competitive bids.
Yeah, we bid this out a few years ago, Dr. Flores, and we've continue the contract, including this year. The specific item on here is the media buy. I mean, it goes to her, but she turns around and spends that on 23 different media outlets: radio, print, TV, digital. And the standard, it's not true with everything that all the entities she's dealing with, but it's typically a 15% commission, although there are some that are less than that, and there are a couple that are actually, there's no commission. So most of that, the commission is embedded in the 127.3, but most of that is actually being spent on, as I mentioned, 23 different media outlets.
I'd like to have you go back to the comment you just made at the beginning where you said we bid this out a few years ago.
Yeah.
Can you give us those bids, a copy of the
I'll
bids?
see if I can find what we
Appreciate
had
it.
there. Yeah. So,
That's
and again,
new
like I
information.
mentioned before, in services like this, we try to bid out major ones, but we don't do it every year. If service has been good, we continue that. I think it's good practice every, let's say, 5-6 years to rebid the thing to make sure that we're still being competitive. But
I'm going to differ with that, and I'm going to suggest to you that living in an age where we have a competitive, diverse workforce, where we have entrepreneurs that are coming up every day, where we have a city that is vibrant, where we have a demographic that is changing, where we have a population that we want to encourage, that they participate fully in the economic dreams that they have to success, that we ought to be looking at encouraging these diverse groups to bid on contracts, especially when they're in the amount of $127,000 plus. So I would like to see the bids that you referred to, because when I've asked this annually, there were no bids. Now, apparently, you're saying there were bids.
I believe we have a contract with this Jody Tompkins agency. and I believe it resulted from a bid a few years ago. So I'll go back and check for sure.
I'm a fervent advocate of a bid process
I know you are.
for consultants and for contracts like this. And I just want to make sure that I'm on the record as pursuing a more fervent policy for internal bid or for external bids that encourage our entrepreneurs of diverse backgrounds to participate in the economic opportunities there are here for contracts.
And again, Dr. Flores, as I've mentioned, currently there is no board policy requiring that.
I understand
If
that.
you
That's
think
just
there
what I
should be
just
one,
wrote.
that'll go to the ad hoc
And
policy
exactly
committee
why I'm
to address.
advocating.
Yeah.
Exactly why every year I advocate,
Yeah,
and when
well.
this one comes up, it gives me more call to do so.
Okay.
So yeah, I guess to your point, as you said that, I just wrote that as well to refer this to the ad hoc policy committee to explore that for possibilities as far as governing our regularity as far as when we bid, how often, and which things, et cetera, et cetera. But I'm curious, do you happen to know is this contract with Ms. Tompkins or this agency, is it annual or is it a couple years, or do you know?
It's been an annual renewal to my recollection is, yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Dr. Flores. Any other questions or comments about anything else in the purchasing agenda? Okay. Do we have a motion to approve moving the purchasing agenda to the full board?
Motion for approval.
Support.
So all in favor of moving the purchasing agenda to the full board for consideration, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Okay. Duly noted. It will be moved forward with 3-1 from the committee. But Dr. Flores, I do think you raise a good point, particularly in regards to, again, as a board, establishing some parameters in regarding to how we do our regular bids and whatnot. I do think that's definitely a valid piece that I think, Ms. Shaka, you're not chair of the, Ms.
No, Ms. Lewis is
Ms.
chair of
Lewis
the
is,
policy.
yes.
I'm
Okay,
on that committee. I'll make sure to share that with her as well.
yes. So did you have another comment, Dr. Flores, like you?
No, and pardon me if I come off a little assertive.
No.
Or a little aggressive in my speech sometimes, or my volume. This really irritates me, that because I have raised it every year. It's not something that's new, but it irritates me that it has not gained any traction for attention and for resolution. Okay, so that's why I'm addressing this today.
So we are going to make sure that we provide the evidence that you've asked for. And we are also going to ensure that when we'll connect with Ms. Downs Lewis to stress the importance that you want us to have a policy that addresses this.
Thank you.
Right? We will
Yes.
absolutely do it. I don't know what's happened in other years, but you have my assurance that we will do it this year.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Dr. Gorman.
Thanks, Dr. Gorman. Guess the donation?
Yeah, one donation in your packet there to Burton Elementary. You can see there were several things there from the Burton Elementary PTO. I would recommend that we accept that donation from their PTO group. A value about $4,700.
Gotcha. It's a nice book vending machine. Interesting. Any questions about the donation to Burton for the book vending machine? All right. Can we get a motion to move the donation to the full board?
So moved.
Support.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Thank you. And for our summer.
Yeah, the final action item is the annual summer property tax resolution required by law to have this board annually approve a resolution for us to collect our taxes in a summer tax collection, which we've been doing for a number of years. and which benefits the district mightily when it comes to cash flow. So we get a neighborhood of $32 million that most of that comes by about this time every year. So we would recommend that this be moved forward to the full board on Monday for their approval.
Does anyone need any further explanation or any questions or comments about the tax resolution? Okay, a motion to move this action item to the full board.
So moved.
Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, there being none, thank you. And then just moving into our reports, updates, and discussion of
Yeah.
October financial statements.
The first three items are the usual financial reports, bond report, warm, safe, and dry. We're 4 months into the fiscal year, tracking so far according to budget, if you will. As I've mentioned before, the January Finance Committee, we would plan on bringing the first amendment to the budget, which will have the positive count day we had and other adjustments related to the first 6 months of the year and how we see the last 6 months. And we're actually working on that information currently. Ken could talk about BC, and then the annual facilities report is an item D there.
Warm, safe, and dry, no update. Bond construction, we're moving along. The Ottawa site, we've had a delay finishing off the gym floor, so we moved the start of the basketball season back a week, which means we have to relocate at least one game, but we need that floor in perfect shape before we can accept it. We are anticipating moving into the south house over holiday break, and the contractor's starting on the north house when we get back. And then we're still working on the timing for some of the main floor classrooms to move. Some of them are dominoed in with opening the new kitchen and getting some things done. So they will move before the end of January, but not over holiday break. We were anticipating a completion of the full Ottawa job about the 1st of August. The last schedule from the contractor, we're probably going to be later than that, but I don't know if we have anything definitive to share at this time. But it doesn't look, as I look at it, it looks tough to make the August 1st date right now. Union's moving along, no issues to report. The Southwest Community Campus Middle High School is moving along. Right now we're showing being done with that around the 4th of July, which is a good time to get furniture in, get staff in, and get set up for the start of school. We have a few things to finish up on the air conditioning projects. Some of the heating units we've had a few problems with, so we're going to keep that open until everything is working fine. And then the secured entry projects, the majority of the remaining work on those 6 buildings will happen at holiday break.
Okay.
And if I can move into the facilities report, the attachments were in your packet. Facility report highlights the entire facilities department, but it talks about projects. There's a fairly lengthy section on utility use, and Appendix A shows building by building utility use. If you look, when you go in there, if you look at the graphs, you can see the polar vortex in February is a spike.
Yeah.
There's some information on some energy lighting projects we did, and on the Green Schoolyards program that's been started. And then it's not real clear, but we should note staff is still an issue. We've had trouble hiring certain trades. They're just not, it's not just wages, there are not trades people to hire. We even struggle with custodians. So we have supplemented with our contract custodians, and we've got a good share of the custodians working overtime to keep up. It's just hard to find people who want that work. But that's in the report. If there are questions, we can, and you desire, let me know, and we can give a more detailed report next month if you choose.
Okay. Anyone have any questions about anything that Mr. Kleinparent shared, the updates or anything in the facilities report?
I just think it's a really impressive document, so thank you for the effort that clearly goes into compiling everything. I think there would be advantage for the entire board to receive it as well, more so than just in a regular board packet. So although the timing may not be ideal with the next couple of months, busy work session on this, I think would be interesting for the full board.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely agree with that.
The one interesting fact in Appendix A is we've added into the buildings to utility costs, a cost per
I saw that. That was
student by
interesting.
capacity and a cost per student by enrollment, which shows the difference when we have buildings that aren't full.
Yeah. Yeah, that was pretty interesting. Yeah. Okay. I guess if there are no questions or comments about any of the report update items, there really is no other business that unless Mr. Klein.
I'd just like to remind the committee that our meeting next month, it's a short month, so we meet on the 16th, Monday the 16th, just prior to the board meeting that evening. So make sure that's in your calendar appropriately.
It is. Yes. Good. Any closing comments or anything from anyone before we adjourn?
Mr. Ross, we may have a conflict on that 16th. I fear we may have scheduled the superintendent evaluation for the same time. So
No,
let's-
I thought that was.
I just want to make sure we
we're
have the right
4:30 to
time.
5:30 for
And then the
finance.
evaluation at 5:30?
At 5:30.
Okay,
yeah.
wonderful, thank you.
Yeah. Then we
Yeah,
probably won't even go the full hour.
No,
anyway.
Perfect.
Probably not. So yeah.
very good, thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Great. All right. Well, this is adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.